Has it come to this? Has it really come to this? Seriously, who was asking for this movie? Like, who was really asking for a sixth Ice Age movie? Remember this franchise when it was just three characters looking after a baby and had to go into an adventure going through an arc? Oh, we miss those days. Honestly, this should have been a trilogy. The first movie was great. The second and third film were pretty good. Hell, I would argue that the third movie should have been the final installment. But we came to Continental Drift was just passable, but didn't need to happen. And the less said about Collision Course, the better. That was the film that pretty much killed the franchise beyond redemption. But for some reason, this damn pandemic managed to bring this already dead franchise back from the grave. Because God knows why. Even after, Blue Sky pretty much died. And after Spies in Disguise, their latest film was going to be Nimona. An adaptation of either a book, I can't remember. And it was going to feature LGBT representation. But nope, because with the exception of the Owl House, Disney can't have LGBT representation because they just love sucking up to Russia and China's toes. I don't want to believe in a conspiracy theory, but I believe Nimona was cancelled just so they can bring this piece to light. Now that we're back in a long-lost franchise that should have been dead years ago, is there by any chance this franchise could seek redemption? Or can we just all agree that this franchise should have stayed extinct? Well, let's find out. It's worth noting that the only voice actor returning in this film is Simon Pegg as Buck Wild. Almost everyone else is not even in this movie. Ray Romano, John Leguizamo, and the one who voices Diego sadly don't make a return for this one. That should tell you when no one in this movie wanted nothing to do with this film. It's also worth noting that this takes place literally right after the events of Collision Course. I'm not even kidding. They literally thought it was a good idea to take place after the lowest point in the franchise. Yeah, you can't even call it a midquel either. That should show you how lazy they've gotten at this point. First off, one complaint. It's ugly to look at. As bad as Collision Course was, at least it was well animated. Granted, it tried way too hard to be cartoony, but at least give it props for that. Here, this looks like a direct-to-video movie, and not even a good one at that. Like, you want to know how bad it looks? Well, let's look and see how bad it is. It's so bad that it makes the first movie's animation look like Pixar. Hey, at least give the first movie credit. It was Blue Sky's first movie, so I can at least cut them some slack for not making a good first impression on visuals. Plus, it did look pretty good for the time. And it was in 2002, back when CGI was being mastered. This movie had no excuse to be this bad. Regardless, it's on Disney+. How's the story? Well, it focuses on two of my least favorite characters, Crash and Eddie. That should tell you how bad it is when it focuses on two of my least favorite characters, and guess what? They're just as irritating as they were in the previous movies, if not even more so. Buck Wild in this movie is boring as sin. Every character I pretty much forgot. The villain, I can't even be bothered to remember his name, is your typical generic bad guy for the sake of being a bad guy. And finally, where's my boy Scrat? No, seriously, he's actually the best part of all the movies. Yes, even Collision Course. And this movie doesn't even have that. This is sadly what we come to in this franchise. The reason why I didn't spend too much time on the plot is because this movie is boring. I'm not kidding. This is one of the most boring movies I have ever sit through. It's not even so bad it's good. It's bad to the point where it becomes boringly bad. I'd argue this is worse than Collision Course. As bad as it was, it at least gave us a reaction at how bad it is. And at least it had a few good things like its animation and scrat. Everything else, I almost forgot halfway through. I forgot what the plot was, I forgot what the characters did, and I certainly forgot it right after I finished it. And I've only watched this a day before reviewing this. It should tell you how bad it is when I can't even be bothered to remember what happened in this movie. That's a sign that you've made a bad film when it's not even worth remembering. In fact, why did I do a review of this? To tell you to not watch it. It's a waste of time. It's not worth sitting through once, not even ironically. Not even to see how bad it is. It's generic bad to the point where it's just gonna suck the life out of you and make you depressed. And this is why this review is so short. It's because there really isn't nothing for this movie to, or even worth watching just to see how bad it is. It's bad to the point where, what did I say again? Yeah, that's how bad it is. Don't watch it. Hopefully this is the last time that Disney will try to bring back this franchise, right? Well, in that case, here's your rating, just so I can remind Disney not to give us another Ice Age movie. Well, this ends the first episode of the Cartoon Analyst. If you enjoyed this video, hit the like, subscribe, and hit the bell for notifications. I am Rainwright, and I bid you a farewell. Good night.